let's talk about the Backrooms movie, because I finally did see it. I saw it while I was in Wisconsin visiting my brother. I've actually been to this spot right here. Yay, I made a video where I was like, oh, I went to this spot. I'm so cool. Good freaking movie, dude. I was expecting it to be, like, decent, but I didn't expect it to actually be better than most of the movies I've seen recently. The themes were not overly ham-fisted, which I appreciate, because a lot of times when you want to like work on a theme or something, people have a tendency to over-explain it or oversell it. I don't feel like Backrooms did that. The main theme, I think, was like losing touch with reality or choosing to keep yourself mentally imprisoned through various things, which the Backrooms is like representative of that mental prison. Is it any reason why the one guy who wants to keep drinking every single night and being miserable is the same guy who wants to stay in the Backrooms and stay as a prisoner of his own psyche, versus the other characters who want to get out of there? You know, they see the threats and the red flags and they leave. Clark sees a giant monster and thinks, you know, how can I force this thing to conform to my expectations, which is being nice. And then he gets a taste of his own medicine. You know, there's a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Backrooms, but there's a scene towards the end where Pirate Clark, the kind of big bad of the movie, picks up Clark, and Clark's totally okay with this. Like, this has happened to him before, but he gets picked up, and then the pirate bites him, like, unexpectedly. Starts, like, it bites him and throws him and drags him around and stuff. You know, some people are like, oh, this is the Backrooms. The Backrooms is a conscious entity, and it's, you know, manifesting itself through this creature, and when it realizes that Clark is actually a threat, then it decides to deal with him accordingly. But I think Pirate Clark was always a threat. It's just like a wild animal, you know? Like, how long did people have, like, tigers and stuff in their circuses before the tigers decided, you know, they were hungry and didn't care anymore? Like, you know, Clark thinks that he has an understanding of this complex and the creatures inside of it, but he doesn't know. You know, he's sitting there hanging out with these still lives, you know, grabbing parts of them and eating it. He has no idea. You know, that could, for all he knows, be cannibalism. That could be some kind of spongy human tissue or something that he's eating, or whatever. There's a lot of emphasis on that scene where he gets bit. Clark bites. Let's see if I can get a picture of this. Yeah, there's a scene this with the freaking hot wing, dude. There's a scene where Pirate Clark bites our guy here. Everybody is like, "Oh, this is critical. It's crucial. It's blah blah blah." No, I just think it's when Clark gets his just desserts for messing with things and being irresponsible, you know? I think it's also interesting how Mary's still life, is it Mary? No. His wife, I forget Clark's wife's name, but her still life runs away from the pirate, almost like she's afraid of him, you know? Like it's built into her, whatever her abstraction is, we'll call it, in the Backrooms, is like, it knows to run away from Pirate Clark or whatever, run away from threats, I guess. You know, there's a theory that Clark killed his wife. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but yeah, good movie. Lots of things they can do with it still. It felt very self-contained, because you were waiting to see more of the Backrooms, and in the last part of it, you get a chase sequence that shows off more monsters and still lifes and more, you know, you get an explanation of the Backrooms, a rough explanation from Clark. You also get to see, like, the bottomless room and stuff like that, and you get to see, you know, there's a lot of payoff in the last part of the movie that really makes it worth it. And it sets up a lot, because now there's much more that we can work with, you know? They spent so much time explaining the Backrooms throughout this movie, or teasing it, you know? There were a lot of scenes of them just walking around, you know, exploring things that I think maybe could have been trimmed, but it's setting up a whole universe here, and it's also expanding on one. I don't know. I think the movie did a great job covering all bases. Let me know what you guys think. I'm happy that I finally got to see it. I did not see Obsession yet.